and welcome to my channel Stitch Meditations. This is the channel where you can find out how you can use a creative practice like stitching as a focus to help you meditate and get the advantages of being more mindful, being more productive, helping relax yourself, and many more. So do subscribe to my channel so that you can get to see the weekly videos that I put out, and also get a notification when I go live every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. And every Wednesday I will be taking you through a guided meditation session. The first step that you will take is to gather the supplies that you will need. So for stitch meditation, the basic supplies that you need are fabric, thread, needle, and a pair of scissors. So let's go through them one by one, try to understand what we are going to choose and why. So let's start with the fabric. So you can use any kind of fabric that you want to use. I love using small 6-inch square of fabric on which I do the stitching, but for you it could look something different. So it could be like a handkerchief, or it could be a larger or a smaller piece of fabric. It could be any garment or any home decor item that you would like to work on as a part of your practice. So you can choose from any of the fabrics that are available to you. About the material, I prefer working with cottons because they are very easy to stitch through. But if you want, you can go and use silks, and you can go and use muslin. Muslin is a very good fabric for beginners because it helps the thread travel through really quickly. So you can choose any of those fabrics that you want to choose. Apart from that, you can, but just be aware if you're using something like satin. Sometimes the needle, when it passes through it, it cuts the fabric, and then you see those lines on it. So you have to be very careful and use a specific kind of needle if you are using satin fabric. So that's all about the fabrics. Go and choose the one that you love to work with. Next comes the needle and the thread. So these both, I'm saying them together because they are interlinked. So the thickness of the thread that you are using, the kind of thread that you are using, will decide what kind of needle you will use. So make sure that they work well together. Also, the needle that you use depends on the fabric that you are using. So if you are using, let us say, a satin fabric, you will be using a slightly blunt needle so that it doesn't cut through the threads, but rather it separates them and pushes through. So depending on your fabric and thread choice, you will be choosing a needle. Just make sure that the needle hole is, or the eye of the needle is big enough for the thread that you have chosen to pass through. So if it is not, then you will be struggling with threading the needle every single time, and that is not very advisable. So that is your fabric, your thread, and your needle. Then we come to the scissors. Now scissors, you are basically going to use them for two purposes. One is to cut the fabric, and two is to cut the thread. So it could be a small scissor because rather than cutting the fabric, I usually just snip it a little bit and then I tear the fabric because I like the frayed edge that it has. So you can use a small pair of scissors for that. So those are the basic supplies that you will need. So to get started, your first step would be gathering all these supplies so that you can use them. The next thing that you want to do to prepare yourself to get started with stitch meditation as a practice is to find a comfortable place where you can sit and practice stitch meditation. So it could be any room of the house. There is no such thing as you should sit on the floor or you should sit on a table and a chair. You can sit wherever is comfortable to you. My most favorite spot to do stitch meditation is in my living room corner, and I just love sitting in the chair by the window. and in the mornings usually, and I love spending my time in that corner of the house. I love to spend the 30 minutes over there with my stitch meditation, and it just gives me a boost of energy. From the window, just outside the window, there are birds chirping and there are squirrels running around, and that just brings a very positive vibe to me every morning. So I love spending my time in that window, and that is why I've chosen that spot. But for you, it could look anything. You could be sitting in your bed just before going to bed, or just after waking up. Also, you could be sitting in your bed to do this, or you will be sitting in your living room like me in an armchair or a chair in the living room. You could be sitting at your dining room table. You could go out and sit in your garden, on your terrace, absolutely anywhere. Just make sure that even though it's nice to have a lot of things surrounding you, they don't distract you from what you're doing, because the whole purpose of the meditation is to focus on the activity and build our resistance to distraction. So make sure that you do not get distracted wherever you're sitting. There are no loud noises, or there are no loud people around you, because that could be a potential problem. So make sure to find your space where you can sit and do this activity very comfortably. The next thing that you should do is decide on a time when you want to do this. It could be in the morning if you are a morning person, or you have some kind of mindfulness meditation activity already in your morning, then you can just use the stitch meditation instead of that. Or if you want to start your day by calming your mind and by doing a mindfulness activity, if that is your goal, then decide a time that is most suitable for you in the morning. Make sure that you are not disturbed by any calls, anyone coming home at that time, or anyone needing you at that time. So make sure that your time is very protected, and that there are no distractions that will interrupt your practice. Alternatively, you can also do it in the evening if you have hectic days and you like to have a mindful activity at the end of the day, just to let go of all that tension and be more calm and be able to sleep more peacefully. Then you can definitely choose a time in the evening. Sometimes I actually go ahead and do the meditation both in the morning as well as evening, just because I love to do it. So it's all up to you what time you choose to practice your stitch meditation. There are no rules. It's your practice, so do what works the best for you. So that would be the next step for you, to find a suitable time that works for you perfectly. Once again, make sure that you won't be interrupted during this time by anyone outside the house or inside the house. Now that you have gathered your supplies, made space for yourself, and found the perfect time that works for you, now it's time to actually get started with the stitching meditation. So here's what I did when I started out. So I did not have a ritual at that time, so I would just practice it so that I got the hang of it. So I would play some nice soothing music, whatever appealed to me. It was usually like a piano music or some classical Indian music, or whatever that suited my mood on that day. I used to play the music, and then I used to get started with the stitches on the fabric. In the beginning, it's okay to not care about what you want to create out of it and create a completely random piece of art, and just let the music and your mood guide your fingers. Focus completely on how the thread is how the needle is piercing the fabric and pulling the thread through. So focus on those sensations, and at the same time also when you pull the thread, there will be a sound that comes in. So try to engage as many senses as you can into the practice, so that your focus is completely on what you're doing and you're not thinking about anything else. It really helps to like listen for the sound, look at the fabric, touch the fabric and the needle. Even after you have made a few stitches, just run your hand on it and try to feel the stitches, how it feels and how beautiful it looks, and just go on working on it, sometimes in a random manner. Sometimes you might have something planned. You can even use like a cross stitch design or something, and you can get started on that. So what you do, what kind of stitches, is completely up to you. I'm going to suggest you a few stitches in one of our next videos, but till then you can just focus on using whatever your mind leads to you. Let your mind just guide you through the process of stitching. The aim is to just make some random stitches on a piece of fabric. The next thing I want you to do is you will find your mind wandering. It's very normal, it's very common, and it's totally okay. So while you're working on your stitch meditation, you will have thoughts coming in, you will have doubts coming in, or you will think this is not working for me, and I don't think this is the right practice for me. So what I want you to do is just acknowledge those thoughts that are coming in. Okay, I'm getting distracted, and then again go through the practice of using as many senses as you can to involve in the practice, like touching the fabric, touching the needle, the thread, and watching it, and listening to the sound and all those things. So try to bring your focus back to what you're doing rather than getting distracted. One or more thing that you can do is you can keep a paper, because sometimes what happens is the thoughts come recurring into our mind because there is something that needs our attention, and that is the reason we are not able to focus. So what you can do is you can just keep a piece of paper next to you, and a pencil or a pen, and whenever something urgent comes across, like you need to call somebody, you need a reminder for something, just write it down on that piece of paper so that you can deal with it after you finish your practice. Make sure that every time you finish your practice, go and look at that paper and finish off the things on it, so that your mind starts trusting you with the process. Okay, once I've written down on that paper, I am going to do it. So make sure that you do that every single time after you have finished your practice. This distraction sheet, it will help you very much in improving your focus while you're doing your stitch meditation. The next thing I want you to do is you will find your mind wandering. It's very normal, it's very common, and it's totally okay. So while you're working on your stitch meditation, you will have thoughts coming in, you will have doubts coming in, or you will think this is not working for me, and I don't think this is the right practice for me. So what I want you to do is just acknowledge those thoughts that are coming in. Okay, I'm getting distracted, and then again go through the practice of using as many senses as you can to involve in the practice, like touching the fabric, touching the needle, the thread, and watching it, and listening to the sound and all those things. So try to bring your focus back to what you're doing rather than getting distracted. One or more thing that you can do is you can keep a paper, because sometimes what happens is the thoughts come recurring into our mind because there is something that needs our attention, and that is the reason we are not able to focus. So what you can do is you can just keep a piece of paper next to you and a pencil or a pen, and whenever something urgent comes across, like you need to call somebody, you need a reminder for something, just write it down on that piece of paper so that you can deal with it after you finish your practice. Make sure that every time you finish your practice, go and look at that paper and finish off the things on it, so that your mind starts trusting you with the process. Okay, once I've written down on that paper, I am going to deal with it. So make sure that you do that every single time after you have finished your practice. This distraction sheet, it will help you very much in improving your focus while you're doing your stitch meditation. Now that we have gone through the basics of what you will need to get started with stitch meditation, make sure that you are giving yourself enough time to make it into a practice. The one thing that you will need to do to make it a continuous practice is that you will need to repeat it every day. So make sure that you decide how many times a week you want to practice stitch meditation, and then make space in your time, either by adding it to your calendar or putting it on your wall, wherever you go, write down whatever your to-do list is, and keep the supplies ready whenever you are going to get started. So what I normally do is I finish using one thread, and then the next day I'm going to use another one. I just thread that needle, I just put that thread through the needle, and I pierce the fabric and bring the needle up and just keep the needle inside the fabric, even if it is working on the same project or working on another one. So I just bring that needle and pierce the fabric and keep that needle ready to go for the next day, so that the next day when I start my practice, I can just pick it up and I can just get started with no time required to prep for it. That helps me build a regular practice with this method. So I hope that the tips and the tricks that I've given you to get started with your own stitch meditation practice help you develop it as a regular practice and not something that you do once in a while. I hope that the tips and the tricks that I have given you help you establish a routine which involves stitch meditation at a time that is suitable for you, be it morning, be it evening, whenever you want. And I hope it becomes an integral part of your practice so that you get the immense benefit that it offers. For more videos on how to add value to this practice, or more information about how you can enhance this practice, keep watching the videos that I'll be sharing every week. And to do that, please like and subscribe my channel so that you get a notification anytime that I put on a video. You can also join us on Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. Indian Standard Time for a live stitch meditation session. So in that session, I will be walking you through the routine that I practice while I'm practicing stitch meditation. It is a 30-minute, around 30-ish minute long practice, and that I will be doing that. I will be taking you through that every Wednesday morning. So you can join us on the live sessions, and for that also you need to subscribe to the channel so you get a notification whenever I do live. I hope to see you in the live sessions very soon. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching.